class. Does anyone have a question?
Hi, Stuart. This is Jan.
Yes,
Can you talk about sometimes it seems like when I feel like I'm not doing well, I have the strongest classes and I'm surprised. Could you talk about that?
look, look, none of us are going to feel well all the time. We go through cycles of positive and negative, things change, you know, and the interesting thing is that what we think is negative is not really negative. Because often the most difficult things we have to go through make us work the deepest on ourselves and create the most profound inner growth imaginable. So, we might not feel well, we might have an ache, a pain, we might get sick, but, it's not negative. It's just reminding us that in order to transform that state of being, we have to go very, very deep inside ourselves. And this is not dependent upon how we feel. It's dependent totally upon our need to have a spiritual life and not allowing anything to interfere with it and not living under some assumption that everything is going to be wonderful all the time. It's not. Is there anyone here? Raise your hand where everything is wonderful. I mean, yeah, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Anyway, that's, the negative things. It's, like Rudy's, little aphorism about the itch in an oyster, which creates the pearl. It's the discomfort that really gets us to work on ourselves. We don't have to go look for the discomfort. We don't have to create it. It just comes. As long as we're alive, there's going to be positive and negative manifesting in our lives. And our work is to learn how to use both of them to grow spiritually and to be not attached to either one of them. Because if you have a negative experience, you're going to have a positive one right after it, frankly. You have a positive experience, you're going to have a negative one right after it. One always follows the other. So, what we consider to be negative is often just a reminder that we have to go deeper inside ourselves. We haven't arrived yet. We haven't become perfect yet. And God forbid if we ever become perfect. You know, we have to work, do the work inside ourselves. And there's always discomfort, especially when there are major changes that take place in somebody's life. There's going to be a lot of discomfort. There's nothing to hold on to. The familiar doesn't work anymore. And in order to get to what, we can have our footing again, we have to go deeper into ourselves, open more, build a stronger inner life, in order to get to the next cycle in our lives of growth. Some of the most painful things that have happened in my life, without them, I wouldn't be having a spiritual life today. Because they made me go so deep inside myself, I had to be able to transform that energy into an open heart, into love, into gratitude. And too often when things are good and everything is flowing, we just begin to take it for granted that life is always going to be that way, and it never is. I mean, I've always said that there's not such a thing as positive or negative energy. There's just opportunities to use whatever manifests in our life as a way to grow spiritually. I mean, perhaps the greatest example of that is, I use this all the time, but it's so great. Jesus on the cross with nails in his hands, forgive them, they know not what they do. It's extraordinary. It's probably one of the greatest things ever written. The pain must have been so excruciating. Forgive them, they know not what they do.
Thank you, Stuart.
Well, does anyone else have a question?
Stuart and I have a question, Bob Sink.
Yes, Bob?
The use of the language positive and negative is very common, but is there a better language to use in to either replace or another option as far as language?
What's wrong with the language? Things are positive and negative. Tell me. I can go to my dictionary and find other words, but I don't understand what's wrong with that. It's completely understandable. It brings it down to the level that it's not academic. It really is something that people understand, going through positive and negative experiences. And I like to talk that way. I don't want to talk in Sanskrit terminology and, all that biblical talk. And I mean, try to bring it down to a basic level of understanding that people can get immediately without having to rack their brains for meanings of words. Sure, there are other words for positive and negative. Right now, all that comes to mind to me is positive and negatives.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question you'd like to ask? I hope what I talk about makes sense. If it doesn't, tell me, ask a question, say, I don't understand this, I don't understand that. because you should take away not so much intellectual understanding or even remembering what I talk about, but the energy, the Shakti that's in the words. As I told you many times, I must have sat through, I don't know, 1,000 lectures that Rudy gave. I cannot remember one of them. Every single one of them exists inside me. And they come to me every time I need them. It's the energy, it's the Shakti. It's not memorizing books and memorizing words, but allowing the Shakti to become organic and really a deep and integral part of yourself. And then all of the meanings get clear. Does anyone have a question? Anyone else have a question? If we talk about meanings, this book I wrote, I was thinking at some point I'm going to have a glossary, you know, because there are a lot of, terms in there that the general public might not understand. And it might be good to have kind of a glossary at the end of the book, the definitions, certain terminologies.
Stuart, it's Kenny.
Yes.
Um, so most of the time I'm focused intently on the chakra below the navel, but I find that in order to have the energy move, I seem to have to focus like way down, I don't know, in China or something. Can you talk about that?
Well, most of your attention should be in the chakra below the navel. But then you can bring 10% of your attention to the base of the spine, and that 10% of your attention can draw the energy through the sexual area to the base of the spine. You can feel gratitude in your heart, while you're focused, but you don't need your mind to feel gratitude. It'll just get in the way. So the purpose of keeping most of your attention there is that is the place that makes everything else possible. And the energy of the mind will open that chakra. And it'll make it possible to draw energy through the sex. All you need is 10% of your attention at the base of the spine to draw energy through the sex. All you need is gratitude to open the heart. You just have to swallow. The throat chakra will relax and open. But keeping most of your attention at that will build chi, and that will build the power in you. Understand, to be able to allow energy to flow through each and every one of the chakras and to keep them open. I know there's a lot of meditations where people focus on the third eye, they focus on the heart center, they chant mantras, they listen to their breathing, stuff like that. None of that's bad. You understand? We need to get the heart chakra open. We need to get the mind quiet. But the mind and the heart chakra won't stay quiet unless we develop an enormous amount of chi and power at the core of our being. So keeping most of your attention there does that. It does that. And then the other part is simple. You just gratitude. Will open the heart. Swallowing will relax the throat, open the throat chakra. And then all that tension can drain down and become, chi. It becomes the power at the core of your being instead of something killing you, making you crazy. So that's what I suggest, It doesn't take super amount of mental concentration to draw energy through the sex to the base of the spine. It takes an enormous use of the energy of mind to keep the chakra below the navel open, and to train yourself not only to keep it open in class, but to build a system inside that is strong enough that you take it wherever you go. Whatever you do during the day, you're focused. You have gone through and gotten the training in how to do that. It doesn't mean that when you go out and get groceries, you're standing there at the cash register doing the double breathing exercise. But in the class, you're using the class to build that chakra. So when you're standing there and paying for your groceries, you know, you're just balanced inside. It's harmony inside, quiet inside. You develop that area inside yourself that you take it with you wherever you go. I mean, is that clear? I hope so.
Yes, thank you.
But what we do here is not easy to do. If you want an easy path, there's a lot of stuff we can do. It's not easy. You can sit around worshiping the guru. You can, do hatha yoga. You can do, a million things that are available that are not as intense and deep and powerful in developing a human being. But it's kind of miraculous the way it can transform everything inside a human being, what we do. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, then there'll be meditation on Sunday. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. And again, thank you. Thank you for your questions, for your presence. Thank you for doing this inner work, which is a powerful inner work and takes a lot of courage and guts to do it. And I really appreciate the fact that you come and we do these classes together. So God bless you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody on Sunday. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Stuart. You too.
Thank you. Good night.
Happy solstice.
Thank you.